My name is Harper, a 42-year-old housewife working part-time. My husband Keith is 48 and works for a company. We have an 18-year-old daughter, Sophia, who is a high school student. Though we have been married for nearly 20 years, there has been a persistent tense atmosphere for quite a while. Back when Sophia was little, the three of us used to go out and play together a lot. However, since Sophia became a high school student, Keith started going out by himself more frequently. He has completely stopped getting involved in Sophia's school, events, or club activities. I have to drive Sophia, who was part of the badminton club, to tournaments and practice matches far away, but no matter how much I ask Keith, he always brushes me off, saying, "I'm busy with work. Looking after the child is the mother's job, isn't it?" Sophia, too, is astonished at her father's behavior. Other kids' fathers are enthusiastically coming to support, but our dad doesn't seem to care. It seems that Sophia isn't particularly fond of Keith, who never helps out with child rearing. He barely helps out with housework, but he always has complaints. Even when my part-time job gets busy and I come home late, Keith never prepares dinner. "What time do you think it is? I'm starving here!" "I work too, you know. You could at least prepare dinner." This way, we often end up arguing. Lately, Sophia has been helping with dinner preparations, which has been a great relief. The initial reason I started working part-time was because Keith asked me to. I had planned to start working when Sophia grew up to a certain extent, but Keith kept buying unnecessary things, so I started working again when Sophia was 1. Keith loves cars and is constantly buying new ones. He should buy a car within his earning capacity, but he can't do that. He is not high income, but he keeps buying expensive cars. Adding to that, Keith, who likes to show off, seems to often pay for his coworkers when they go drinking. "I treated everyone again today." He comes home drunk and talks about it with a smug face. Recently, there seem to be fewer drinking parties, so he seems to not be treating others as much. Still, he is always complaining about not having enough money. He works for a company that does not pay well, and he spends money without thinking. Ideally, I wanted to save money for Sophia's education and for buying our own house. Now, saving money is out of the question, and we are barely getting by, day to day. Keith's salary disappears with monthly rent, food expenses, and educational expenses. Most of my part-time income is used for the payments on the luxury car that Keith bought. A large minivan, a hybrid car, which is too big for a 3-person family. He decided to buy it without considering Sophia's or my opinion. Before this minivan, we had a gas-guzzling giant SUV. I got angry several times because of the car's poor fuel efficiency. Why do you, who never go to the mountains or the sea, need to buy such a car with such large tires? "I bought it because it's trendy now. It's okay even in heavy snow." We live in an area where it only snows about once every 5 years, so there was never a chance to use it in snowy conditions. When he bought the current minivan, he said, "This time it's a hybrid, so the fuel efficiency is good. Also, a lot of people can ride in a minivan." When Sophia was in junior high school, many of the parents of the badminton club members drove minivans. Sophia and I had a conversation about it. Indeed, a minivan can accommodate many people and even allow for changing clothes. It's nice. Our car is large, but the interior is cramped, isn't it? Perhaps my husband casually checks in on my conversation with our daughter, Sophia. And then there's my husband, who bought a sports car before the SUV. "It was a childhood dream of mine. It's every man's fantasy." Can't you wait until Sophia grows up? This car's child seat is a pain. "It's a car I can only drive now. We don't use the child seat every day, so it's okay." You might not mind since you won't be transporting Sophia, but it's hard for me. The 2-door car was difficult to use, and of course, the fuel economy was terrible. Sophia was still at an age where she needed a child seat or a baby seat, and getting in and out was difficult. If only my husband would consult me, but he decides on his own. He buys on impulse without thinking about the payment. I don't understand why he buys things he can't afford on his salary. In the end, I had to pay the loan with the money I earned from my part-time job. Every time, my hours at the part-time job get longer. When we bought the current minivan, my husband and I had a quarrel. Next time we buy a car, consult us too. You can't decide on your own. I should be the one to decide. I'm the one who drives it the most. You can decide, but at least let me know what kind of car it will be. That's all I ask. Okay, I understand. So next time I can decide if I consult with you first. At my husband's words, I started feeling anxious. You're not thinking of buying the next car already, are you? I don't know. I didn't say anything, did I? The word, I don't know, seemed unnatural. I'm paying almost all of the loans for the car you're driving with my part-time job earnings. I can't pay any more than this. I'm also paying for the down payment, my husband retorts, looking dissatisfied. It's not a down payment, it's the money from trading in the old car. Then it's the same as what I paid. It could be. My husband was overruled by me. About a month later, my husband brought up the topic, looking guilty. Actually, I bought a new car. I was so stunned that I didn't even feel angry. This time, it's an electric vehicle, so we don't need gasoline. With the current high gasoline prices, it's perfect. Electricity is expensive too. We don't have solar power. So are there any advantages to electric cars? It doesn't emit carbon dioxide, so it's good for the environment. I can't tell if he's just easily swayed by trends or if he's just doing what the car dealer tells him. It's too much. How much did you pay for it? A loan of $750 per month. I need your part-time job earnings again. If it's $750 a month, that's all of my part-time earnings. Do I have to work for your car? You'll be driving it too. Now that Sophia's club activities are over, I won't be using it. Now that our daughter, a high school senior, has retired from her club activities, she won't need the car anymore. I wanted to save my part-time earnings for her college education, but now my plan has been completely derailed. We need money for Sophia's college education too. Is it okay to buy such an expensive car? Are you okay? He asks me back. Sure enough, due to the recent incident, I started to harbor doubts towards my husband. Am I really okay living with this man? I am filled with uncertainty. He doesn't consider Sophia's college expenses or our retirement funds at all. I want to discuss it with someone, but my parents are no longer around. I don't want to worry Sophia, so I can't talk to her. At that moment, I remember a senior from work. He got divorced a few years ago and is now single-handedly raising 2 children. Despite being my junior by a couple of years, they perform better than other employees. I'm not considering a divorce yet, but I want to consult him. The next day during lunch, I had him listen to my story. After hearing my situation, the senior said, I had small children, and my wife didn't work, so I was able to make the decision quickly. I feel a bit better after talking, but honestly, I'm still unsure. Do you think you could live with Sophia just on your part-time pay? That's impossible. I can't make ends meet unless I'm a full-time employee. I thought so. We both fell silent. However, as I told my senior, I felt much better after just consulting. From then on, we talked about various things, considering my future life. After a while, my husband's new car was delivered. The smell of a new car is really great. Yeah. Why are you angry? Be happy. The new car is here. Good for you. You're no fun. Fine, I'll celebrate by myself. Saying that, my husband started drinking beer. You're taking it easy, aren't you? Say whatever you like. He seemed unusually pleased, probably from the joy. The next day, I had to work overtime and came home late. Sophia had prepared dinner, which was a great help. When I came home, my husband was again happily drinking beer. You're working late! Good job! I felt irritated at my husband, who was meddling with me. I have to work hard for your new car, don't I? Feeling annoyed, I made a sarcastic remark. Thanks for earning the extra money. If it's so bothersome, why don't you just stop the payments? I was angry that he'd say such a thing when I was working late, but I held back from complaining to my husband and decided to really stop the payments. The next day, I decided to withdraw all the money from the account used for the car loan. This means the next payment won't go through. I was looking forward to seeing what kind of face my husband would make. I managed to withdraw the money in time before the next due date, and a reminder notice arrived the next month. I hid the letter so my husband wouldn't find it. Of course, the reminder came again the following month, and the month after, but I was able to hide it successfully each time. Around the 4th month after stopping the payments, I received a different document. It was sent by certified mail, and I thought this was the final reminder. When my husband came home, I threw the packet with the document in it at him, saying, "Some important document arrived for you." In a panic, Keith unwrapped the package, shouting, "What the hell? You haven't been making car payments for 3 months?" It seemed the letter stated that the car was to be repossessed due to repeated failure to respond to payment reminders. He would now have to give up his beloved car. But you were the one who said, "Stop the payments." Well, that was just something I said in the heat of the moment when I was drunk. Who would really stop payments? I was so annoyed because you would tell me, "Thanks for earning some pocket money," while I was working so hard. Becoming more defiant, he started to say even worse things. "You always complained every time I bought a car. I should be able to buy a car if I want to." I didn't complain about you buying a car. You can buy one, but you should pay for it yourself. Struck by my blow, Keith was at a loss for words. We're going to need money for Sophia's education soon. Think about the future! I was shaking as he listened to me, and finally, he snapped. "If you can't listen to me, get out! We're getting a divorce!" Hearing the word divorce made even me falter. "Okay, I'll leave. Let's let Sophia decide what she wants to do." Before I finished speaking, Sophia emerged from her room. "I'm obviously going with Mom. It's too much trouble to stay with a father who doesn't do anything." She had heard our argument and seemed to understand what was happening. Sophia, who had already prepared her luggage, surprised me. "Well, I'll be leaving then. I'll come back for the rest of my stuff later." I grabbed only the essentials and left the house. "Hey, where are you going?" Keith's voice suddenly took on a sad tone. Turning back, I said, "We'll properly discuss the divorce process later. I don't need alimony, but you have to pay child support." We left the house, leaving Keith with his tearful face. "Mom, you were so cool! Just as expected. But what are we going to do now?" "Don't worry, I had prepared for this, thinking it might happen. I had expected this to happen ever since Harper told me to stop paying the car loan. Also, I had about $3,000 from not paying the car loan payments for 4 months. We stayed in a motel for about 3 days, but I had already arranged for an apartment. We were able to move to the apartment on the 4th day after leaving the house. I'm sorry for making you live in a place like a motel. I wouldn't want to live there forever, but it was actually fun because we already had a place to move to," Sophia said cheerfully, which relieved me a little. "It's going to be just the 2 of us from now on, but I'll do my best. I'll help with everything too. Let's do our best together." We had to go back to our old house to get the rest of our stuff. We also had to finalize the divorce. I contacted Keith before returning to the old house. I asked a lawyer who was recommended by a senior at work to accompany us because I was afraid that Keith might become violent if it was just Sophia and me. The lawyer was an expert in divorce cases and had helped the senior during his divorce. It was expensive, but we could afford it. We've also asked the lawyer to come. Even the appearance of a lawyer surprised Keith, who said, "You're really okay with getting a divorce? I won't forgive you if you come back and apologize later." He glared at me as he threatened me. I thought that this must be his true nature. "It's okay. I won't say such things. Even if you, working part-time, leave this place, you won't be able to make a living." "You don't have to worry about me. Just sign the divorce papers quickly." "Fine, I'll sign it. Just shut up." "I will take full child support. Considering your income..." Looking at the child support calculation, Keith started shouting. "Why the hell do I have to pay child support? I won't pay a single penny to a daughter who wants to leave home." Being told this, I felt grateful for having a lawyer. The lawyer convinced my husband that child support is not paid to me, but given to our daughter as a duty of a father. But there's still a chance that my husband won't pay the child support. Therefore, arrangements were made to deduct it from his salary if he doesn't pay. You're just a part-timer, but you've got a lawyer? How prestigious. Where did you get that money? I forgot to tell you, I was made a full-time employee. I'm making about double my old salary, so don't worry. Keith seemed speechless. Honestly, becoming a full-time employee gave me the courage to finally get a divorce. And as a full-time employee, I could also get a housing allowance, so I could afford to rent an apartment. Due to advice from my senior colleague, I had been looking for an apartment I could move into immediately. The decision to bring a lawyer to the discussions was also advice from my senior. And sure enough, the child support from my husband stopped coming in almost immediately. It was good to have a lawyer come with me and set up the procedure to deduct it from his salary. Despite all the chaos, Sophia was able to get into her first choice university. I have to work even harder for her tuition. Working for a car loan that I don't even use is different. This has a sense of purpose. From now on, for Sophia's sake, I plan to live happily together.